They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
Okay, guys, to be honest, I think that these are my favorite videos to make. I know that y'all really don't enjoy them that much. I know that they don't get as much traffic on YouTube. But these weekly recap, weekly summaries with the changes that we are seeing, I think are so impactful in what you're going to do to construct your roster going into the fantasy basketball playoffs. And yesterday we talked about Kevin Durant and Anthony Davis in their current situation. So I'm not going to dive into that. But in this video, I am going to be talking about some injured players. I'm going to be talking about some teams that had drastic changes at the trade deadline. And now that the dust is kind of settling, we're seeing what to expect from some of these guys. So of course, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. And also, if you have not already, I probably should promote this a little bit more, but go and join our free fantasy basketball group chat. Now, there's a bunch of stuff over there. We are talking dynasty fantasy football, we're talking fantasy basketball, but it's all separated into its own channels. So if you only want to talk fantasy basketball, well, there's a channel for fantasy basketball for you. I think there are a total of 3,000 to 4,000 people in there at this point. Really don't promote it nearly enough. I kind of assume that most people watching these videos already know about it, but occasionally I'll get a random DM on Twitter asking if we have one. So yeah, go do that. And anyway, let's dive into it with our first change that is happening. And this is going to be DAngelo Russell coming back from injury. Plays last night versus the Kings, and honestly, it's impressive. He only plays 24 minutes, but he actually drops 25 points. Now, DAngelo Russell, not someone that I've ever really been that excited about, not someone that I've ever been a fan in, but we consistently see that when DAngelo Russell is on the court, he's going to be putting up shots. Now, it's going to come with bad efficiency, and we also know that rebounds, assists aren't necessarily going to be there. But with DAngelo Russell, if you're playing in a points league format, that's where I'm going to want to prioritize him, because you can expect, at least per the minutes that he plays, the turnovers to be high, the efficiency to be low, because this team doesn't have a whole lot going for it. Yeah, they have Anthony Edwards finally looking decent. They have Karl Anthony Towns. Now DAngelo Russell's coming back, but still, this is, I don't want to say by far and away the worst team in the NBA, but close to it. So please let me know if y'all think I'm underrating DAngelo Russell here, but I think he's someone that you can look for in a points format to make a difference, but in a category league where turnovers and efficiency matters, that's where I'm going to be a little bit hesitant to go after him. Also, Ricky Rubio returned last night as well, so maybe this has something to do with the fact that you only saw 24 minutes for DAngelo Russell. Obviously, Rubio's not going to be a player that we're focusing in on now that Anthony Edwards and Russell are both seeing minutes in this rotation, because Rubio would have a very, very difficult time actually making an impact for fantasy basketball leagues. But it's notable that you're seeing the minutes played in the rotation for DAngelo Russell in his first night back being 24 minutes, with Ricky Rubio being there as well. And the number one thing I want to focus in on is the player that we've been talking about for a month now, someone that we've been excited about, Anthony Edwards. Okay, so you hear, Ricky Rubio, DAngelo Russell both come back on the same night. Anthony Edwards was previously seeing 36, 37, 38 minutes a night. How many do you think he's going to see? I would assume that he was going to drop to 32, 33. But no, Anthony Edwards still sees 38 minutes of action last night. And no, that's not going to continue. There's just no way that continues, especially as you see both DAngelo Russell and Ricky Rubio continuing to get healthier. I think that the minutes for Anthony Edwards are slightly going to dip down, but I think you should expect the efficiency to come up, because Ricky Rubio should be able to find Anthony Edwards in decent cuts. He should be able to find spots where Edwards can get up decent shots. And also, DAngelo Russell should take away some defensive attention. So even though I would expect Anthony Edwards to see a few less minutes per game and see a few less shots per game, I would expect that the efficiency may just counteract that, where Anthony Edwards is still going to be providing you the value that he was over the past month. I mean, he's 19 years old. Clearly, he's the future of the franchise. If they want to have any shot of getting out of just this bottom tier that they've been in for the past decade, it's on Anthony Edwards' back right now. So I think they're going to continue to lean on him, try to develop him. So if you can go out there and if you can buy Anthony Edwards, I think that'd be something to do if the owner's a little bit worried about Russell and Ricky Rubio coming back, because it's not like DAngelo Russell is going to be taking away that many shots from Anthony Edwards. Maybe you could say Ricky Rubio is going to take away the assist, but Anthony Edwards wasn't seeing assists to begin with, so not too impactful for me. Okay, so now let's talk about a player that was moved at the trade deadline, someone that I did not expect this from, Kelly Olynyk, who has played 7 games in the past 2 weeks, 26 minutes a night, but notably, what's very important is the efficiency that he is scoring with. 57% from the field, 95% from the free throw line, making 2 3-pointers a game, 16 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, and 3 assists. So I didn't expect Kelly Olynyk to be a difference-making player for your fantasy basketball leagues, but he's just that. I mean, he is someone that you can consistently rely on, regardless of if you're playing in a points format or a category format. I will say, because of the efficiency, I would prefer looking at him in those category leagues, but I understand that if you're playing in a points league, he's still dropping 16 points, 5.5 rebounds, 3 assists, decent defensive statistics, and really no turnovers to go along with it. So nothing else to really say here about Kelly Olynyk. Let me know if y'all think that I am overvaluing the impact that he has made, but it looks like he's kind of here to stay and here to make a difference. Now, someone that we thought that same thing with last week but has completely fallen off is going to be Moses Brown, 21-year-old center for the Thunder, and I think that we just kind of got a little too excited about him because he was a 21-year-old player that was 7'2", playing for a Thunder team that had a ton of minutes available, and Moses Brown was dropping games with like 20 rebounds. So not only did the people in this audience, but pretty much everywhere across the NBA, people were looking at Moses Brown, getting excited to see what he was going to be able to do. And over the past 5 games, it's been tough. The Oklahoma City Thunder have completely fallen off. Moses Brown is not seeing nearly as many minutes as we expected. I mean, if we go through his past 5 games in minutes, you see 26, 23, 24, 30, and 30. And then you go over to the same thing with his points and rebounds. At points, he was 11, 10, 1, 20, and 6. So he's hovering around 9 to 10 points a game. Not going to be too impactful for you. And with Moses Brown, we know a big reason we wanted to get him is we thought he could be Andre Drummond rebounding the ball. But no, his last 5 games with rebounds have been 5, 14, 7, 12, and 9. So here we're looking at it and going, you know what? Maybe the floor or the ceiling that we thought was going to be there just simply isn't. We probably should have known this just looking at the contract, looking at the fact that it's not like they're significantly invested into him in the future. So even though he can be viewed as a developmental piece for this team, I doubt that they think whenever they spend their 30-something draft picks in the next 5 years, Moses Brown is going to end up being a core piece of this team. At the very best, I think he's maybe a rotational guy 4 years from now. But I think that right now in fantasy, we severely overvalued him, and we need to take a step back with what our priors were. Now, if we stay on that same team, a player that I was holding out hope for, someone that I said if you could get for pennies on the dollar and trade last week, I would just take the gamble. Now, I think we were wrong. This is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And with Shai, the problem is the Thunder are now 13th in the West. They've lost 7 out of the last 10, and the most recent report is saying Shai is not going to be reevaluated until mid-April, and if he's reevaluated in mid-April, they're probably going to say, hey, you can come back 2 to 3 weeks from now, and if that's the case, Shai's probably just going to get shut down for the season because this team is no longer in the play-in tournament hunt. And I think this team, if they had the opportunity to play in the play-in tournament, they would do so. We've seen consistently while this Thunder team is accruing picks for the future, while they are doing everything from a front office standpoint to make sure that they lose games, the coaches, the players, they want to win. They are going out there putting everything on the line. But I think because the season is kind of lost at this point, the chances of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander returning are going to be a lot lower than what you would want. Okay, so now let's bring up a player that not a lot has changed in this situation to discuss, but he's been completely taking that next step. This is going to be Darius Garland, who over the past 7 games has averaged 35 minutes a game. And you would naturally expect on the Cavs, a team that is limited with talent, that you wouldn't necessarily expect the percentages to be that high. But no, Darius Garland has decent both field goal and free throw percentages. And then you go over to his raw volume. over 2 3-point shots made a game, 18 points a game, 3.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, a steal and a half to go along with this. So not too much to take away here. Just want to bring up the fact that Darius Garland, a player that's extremely young, a player that has potential, looks like he could be taking that next step. So just going to be something that you want to continue to monitor throughout the week and see, hey, are the minutes staying up there at 36 minutes a night? Is he still making shots at a high clip and not necessarily needing a ton of volume to provide you with production? So just one other thing we want to be monitoring. All right, so now let's bring up our next player. Now here, a lot has changed in this situation, and I will admit, I undervalued him. It's going to be Robert Covington, who over the past 7 games has been the definition of an elite piece in category league formats. Now he's averaging less than a turnover a night. He's averaging over a block and a half and a steal and a half a night. 8 rebounds, 13 points, 3.5 3-pointers made with great efficiency. Now, I didn't expect Robert Covington to continue to be this impactful because we know Nurkic coming back healthy. We know Norman Powell coming in. We understand CJ McCollum coming back to this rotation at all. And I know those players are all over in terms of the positions that they play. But still, when you add talent to a rotation with that many players, you would naturally expect some guys that were seeing the 35, 34 minutes a night, they would dip down slightly. But no, it doesn't matter simply here with Robert Covington. I guess you could make the argument that from a volume standpoint in point format leagues, there he is not as impactful as you would want him to be. But no, in a category league, if you're going to get a player that is giving you over a steal and a half and a block and a half a game, to go along with that, 3.5 3-point shots made a game with absolutely no turnovers, with sky-high efficiency, you're looking at this player going, hey, he is literally not hurting me in a single category, and he is straight up winning me a few. So that is the definition of an elite player in a category format. So if you're in a points league, sure, Robert Covington, you can kind of be lukewarm on him. But if you're in a category league, you have to hold tight. Now, the same type of player we're going to be talking about now going over to the Eastern Conference is going to be Bogdanovic, who over the past 7 games is really fitting this same mold where he is committing no turnovers at all, averaging a little less than 1 turnover a game, 18 points a night, 3.5 3-point shots made a game, and elite efficiency numbers. Now, you're not going to be expecting the rebounds. You're not going to be expecting the same type of defensive production that you would have from a Robert Covington, but he's still a player that has been impactful for this Hawks team. He is still a player that is giving you production not only for a points league, but a category format. And also a player that, if you're playing in a category league, you need to be valuing him a lot higher than what your league mates would. So maybe that means you go trade for him. Maybe that means you just hold him tight on your roster. Because, I mean, those guys that are going to make 3-point shots consistently, those guys that are going to not kill you in points, rebounds, assists, and all at the same time, help you significantly with their percentages and their turnovers, those are guys that in a category format you have to get excited about. All right, so now let's go over one more guy here, someone that ended up getting moved at the deadline, Nikola Vucevic, who, yes, started roughly in Chicago. We hated the start. I didn't like the trade to begin with, but since then, Nikola has actually, I don't want to say going back to what he was in Orlando, but he is taking steps in the right direction. He's getting used to this rotation. Where now you look at his past 7 games, and he's been averaging 32 minutes a night, good efficiency, over 50% from the field, over 85% from the free throw line. More importantly, though, he's back to giving you points, rebounds, and assists, where he's averaging over 20 points, over 10 rebounds, 3.5 assists, which we know is decent for the big man position. So with Nikola Vucevic, I understand that he was disappointing when he first got to Chicago, but maybe at this point you see him taking steps in the right direction. Maybe at this point trading for him at a slight discount would make sense. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. Of course, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you did. And yeah, that's it. I'll see y'all with the video tomorrow.